Okay, making a video. So there, I changed the beginning. Now I said okay. Anyway, people complain about, oh, I said this before, but they complain about the stupidest fucking things. Alright, so, just because people keep doing this shit, so they just piss me off, so I have to, respond to it. Well, Piro made a response video to my last What the Fuck video, where he plays the video, and of course he's so inept, that he keeps, instead of using the keyboard to advance in the video, he keeps using the mouse and he keeps changing the position of where the video is. And the funny part is he missed the reference to actually Piro and Piro's name, which was really quite hilarious. But because he pays so poor attention, he just doesn't listen to any of the content, he just talks over it, accused me of saying that Snake Plisskenus was an example of homeless people when I was saying exactly the opposite. Exactly the opposite. I have made 3 references, I think, in 3 videos now it's 4, to how admirable I thought Snake Plisskenus' voyage out of homelessness was. And, but Piro can't be bothered with the truth of the facts. And, so again, and he just so hostile on this open border crap of his, and anybody who thinks open borders is a bad idea is a bigot. He's just playing all these cheap cards, because he doesn't have an argument in defense of his mush, his drivel, his nonsense, his lack of reasoning skills. Then people like the morbid atheist who, if I love somebody, it's probably him. He throws in little things here, and Bernie Sanders never advocated for open borders. Everything but. And I'll go through some of the videos I've seen, and the quotes I can give you. He's not for open borders, but he's for doing everything possible to make it impossible to prevent illegal immigration. I mean, unless you want to build a wall, unless you think you can build a wall or something, you have to de-incentivize people crossing the border. And if you don't do that, that's your only choice if you don't build a wall. So if you're not going to build a wall, you have to de-incentivize border crossings. Duh. Bernie Sanders didn't say, I'm going to get a whole bunch more border guards, I'm going to give them shoot-to-kill orders, I'm going to make robots that'll hunt out border transgression. No. So it's open borders by default. His policy of every immigrant is a beautiful person and we got to save them, we got to protect them, we can't deport them, we can't make them pay any penalty whatsoever, we got to give them free college education. That policy just creates an open border. Duh. So, I mean, your rhetoric is vacuous. Anyway, and then he has this whole anti-corporate FDR platform, which is okay. You don't have to go with the fair economics or the Fairness First Party platform. But this whole anti-corporate, the corporations aren't the problem, the owners are the problem. People keep missing the target. And FDR was the guy who invented the income tax, so yeah, that's the idea, the inheritance tax too. So yeah, but the corporations aren't the problem, it's the owners that are the problem. So, and then somebody else threw in a little snark here. Actually, Sanders never campaigned for opening the borders. He campaigned for everything short of those words. He said Obama deported too many people. He said Hillary is too right-wing in her open border policy. And that he's the real guy that's going to protect the immigrants. So, I mean, the weird thing is this used to be. The Democrats used to be on the Protect American Workers platform. So they were always fighting the Republicans who wanted to increase immigration. It was Ronald Reagan who doubled immigration. And then the process of doubling it every 4 years became, routine. And it was the Democrats who fought that because they knew that was going to kill all the unions, and it did exactly that. And so it's now all of a sudden now the progressives and the liberals somehow think immigrants are good for poor people. More poor people make poor people richer. No, they don't. They make them more unemployed. I mean, it's just so illogical. So yeah, Bernie Sanders is for a $15 minimum wage, full social services, free education, through college, and no deportation for illegals. And exactly how does that de-incentivize illegals coming across the border? He's not for any kind of employer sanctions for hiring illegals. He's not for any extra taxes for illegals. He's not for any kind of penalty whatsoever. So how exactly do you discourage border crossings with his policy? Just ask the question, how? How does it make any sense to you people? How does it make any sense that we need more laborers in America because somehow, the fact that wages have been driven down is an indication that somehow employment is scarce? No. Nobody wants, who wants to work 8 hours a day to barely afford 20% of an apartment to rent? Where you gotta live with 4 other people that stink. Who wants to work all day for that? I mean, you might as well be getting a peach a day, and that's where we are. And that's immigration's not going to fix any of this. And then on top of it, just the plain illogic that you can just sit there and take in all of these people, and somehow it has no impact economically on social services, on health care. I mean, $10,000 per person per year. Bernie Sanders says, sure, we can afford it. Well, get the money first, and then show me you can afford it. And then again, explain to me how you're going to discourage illegal immigration. What are you going to build your wall out of? But anyway, another argument to this whole thing is these immigrants are all a bunch of religious kooks. So you're just importing a bunch of ideology that as a progressive will come back to haunt you and bite you in the ass hard. That's what happened in California. The immigrants are the new Americans are the ones who voted against the progressive policy of gay marriage. They're hostile to progressive politics. They're not for it. They're against you. So here you are protecting the enemy. The Christian conservatives are on the wrong side. And you're sitting there voting for them. You're basically saying, yes, give them more votes. It makes no sense at all. Just rubbish. So anyway, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it, but this isn't about race. This is again, this is a traditional labor protecting policy. This is a traditionally liberal, progressive understanding that you have to protect wages. And you can't protect wages if you keep allowing desperation to drive them into the toilet. And you can't you can't have completely fake wages. You can't just say, well, we'll just keep increasing the minimum wage, even though there's too many people for the jobs. Again, until you have the money. Get the money first. Pay for that first. So anyway, you can find a bunch of videos on this subject, but this was the ironic one. Bernie Sanders, open borders, that's a Koch brothers proposal. Yeah, so he's acknowledging the fact that that's the right wing. That's what the Republicans want to do. Is open the borders, is to have a flood of desperation to drive wages down. But the irony is that's exactly what this guy's endorsing now. This road to citizenship, whatever that means. There's a road to citizenship now. They don't take it. So what does that even mean? what's the road? You come into the country illegally, have a get married, have a kid. I don't even know how you get married legally in America if you're illegal. How does that even work? There's supposed to be some sort of paperwork, isn't there? I mean, isn't that the irony? We legally protect a marriage contract. It's recognized that we have to pay extra Social Security and we have to share health care and do lots of stuff because somebody got married. So somehow it's okay. But a gay guy gets into a relationship, it doesn't mean anything to us. Somebody who's, maybe his family's lived here for 300 years. No, his relationship doesn't mean shit. Okay, but some religious kook's relationship, who isn't even in this country legally, somehow he has a legal contract entitling him to something? What the fuck? It doesn't make any sense. Anyway. So yeah, but this is not a solution. Obama deported too many people. Those are his exact quotes. He would have let all those kids from Honduras, he would have kept them here. They all would have stayed. I mean, a lot of them did, but I mean, he would have kept all of them. And then at the same time say somehow that's going to discourage people sending their kids to America. How so? How are they going to? What lesson are they going to learn? It's even if you give this, you keep doing this immunity thing. Well, go ahead. You break into the country. If you can stay here for 5 years, then every 5 years they give everybody immunity. Again, how does that discourage anybody from crossing the border? And so there's no way you concede. Bernie Sanders will concede. You can't do anything with the border. I mean, unless you build a wall. It's going to have holes in it. And the only way you can stop the holes is to create disincentives for people to come to this country, not incentives. Shit. It's just so fucking obvious. So anyway, so you can just this is a little tripey stuff, a little school teacher. Oh, all my students are worried they're going to get deported. What are you going to do? I'll do everything in my power. The problem, and see, so I mean, like I said, if he's not for open borders, what exactly is the difference between his policy and open borders? What's the difference? If there's no penalty for breaking into the country, then how is he not for open borders? I mean, he's just basically saying, well, yes, if you can sneak in, you win. And of course they can sneak in. Because he's not going to do anything. He's not going to increase the Border Patrol. It's nowhere in any of his policies I would increase the Border Patrol. No. No, anyway. So, this is... But again, for me, this subject is religion, bad. I don't want anybody coming into this country as a religious kook. That would be a test right there. If you can't pass that test, I'm going to impose my religious dogma on you Americans. If you can't say, no, I'm not going to do that, then fuck you. Right off the bat. If you're not going to recognize America's a secular country, attempting to find an ethical social contract with which people can respect each other's rights under, and that really isn't something under God, that's just, old archaic rhetoric. We're not playing that no more. If you can't accept that, then fuck you. Yeah. Go haunt and harass somebody else, because, yeah, I don't need you. And the other side of it is, you can't have... civilization requires maintenance. I said it before. There's rules to civilization. And you're not going to have a civilization if you think you can take care of every poor person who thinks they're entitled to have kids. They don't build the nest. They don't have any money in the bank. They don't have anything covered. And you're going to cover it. If you keep... the safety nets are necessary. But like I said, if you make it a guarantee, then everybody's just going to bounce off the net. Anyway, no logic to it. So anyway, the argument is Bernie Sanders would have got slaughtered by Donald Trump. If he won the primary, Donald Trump would have slaughtered Bernie Sanders on this issue alone. He would have just annihilated him so easily. with his placation rhetoric and free everything. You know, free everything, no penalties for bad behavior. Go ahead, break into the country, don't play by the rules, and we'll reward you for it. No harm, no foul. I mean, you know, I was going to do a video on reward and punishment, because, you know, it seems Anna Konovad doesn't really understand that evolution created pain and pleasure as basically that mechanism, reward and punishment. It made reward and punishment possible through these manifestations of sensation. And it's a very powerful game, reward and punishment. You know, when you're able to pull a reward string or a punishment string, that's power. Real power. The only power. And, you know, it's something people got to realize. It's fundamental to the function of any sentient organism. It's in the nature of our feelings, our function. And these people don't seem to understand how that has to play a role in the organization of civilization. And if there's no punishment for bad behavior, you're going to have bad behavior. Alright, enough said.